Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a lot of green going on. A lot of green. And back to my very first original mask that I had in my videos. I started out with this one. It's probably my favorite because I took the most time picking it out. But it's fun. So we are doing St. Patrick's Day theme because, it's coming up. It's very interesting to me. I am mostly Irish. I have I don't know if mostly is the right word, but I have a high background in Irish and Scottish as far as ancestry is concerned, so just thinking about that. I love St. Patrick's Day. Not probably in the sense that everybody does, but just from, Irish pride, So, today, the story we're going to be listening to, you're going to be listening to, I'm going to be telling as the fabled librarian, is the Leprechaun or the Fairy Shoemaker. There's different legends about leprechauns. I've heard all kinds of tales. Do you ever think of the different traditions that everybody has? Around here, I know people do different things. Some people put stuff in shoes. I don't know. Some people set leprechaun traps, but everybody does it a little differently. Some put it with a leprechaun hat, like one of those big green hats, and they put a little stick, and then they put, candy bait in there for the leprechaun, and then they're trapped. Some do just boxes. Maybe it's just whatever people have on hand. But the leprechaun, the idea is they'll leave them a little treat. So we always did that when I was a child. We would make our leprechaun traps, and then we would wait for, I think it usually was when we came home from school. We would set it beforehand, and then when we came home, we would find that the trap was down, but there was no leprechaun. Never saw one. Although somebody joked the other day that I am as short as a leprechaun. I am very short, but I'm not that short. So let's get on to this tale and see what you think. So, it's a little different, we're thinking Irish tales, and it's Irish tales from the peasants, so different perspective. Little cowboy, what have you heard? Up on the lonely rath's green mound, only the plaintive yellow bird, sighing in sultry fields around, cherry, 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 chee. Only the grasshopper and the bee, tip, tap, 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 rip, rap, tick-a-tack, too. Scarlet leather sewn together, this will make a shoe. Left, right, pull it tight. Summer days are warm, underground in winter, laughing at the storm. Lay your ear close to the hill. Do you not catch the tiny glimmer? Busy click of an elfin hammer. Voice of the leprechaun singing shrill as he merrily plies his trade. He's a span in a quarter a night. Get him in sight, hold him tight, and you're made man. You watch your cattle the summer day, sup on potatoes, sleep in the hay. How would you like to roll in your carriage? Look for Duchess's daughter in marriage. Seize the shoemaker, then you may. Big boots a-hunting, sandals in the hall, white for a wedding feast, pink for a ball. This way, that way, so we make a shoe. Getting rich every stitch. Tick-tack, 2. 99 treasure crocks this keen miser fairy hath, hid in mountains, woods, and rocks, ruin and round tower, cave and wrath, and where the cormorants built, from times of old, guarded by him, each of them filled full to the brim with gold, 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 gold. Would you like to have some gold? I think we all could use that sometimes. We all could use some gold sometimes. Maybe a lot right now. I could use a pot of gold. I caught him at work one day, myself, in the castle ditch, where foxglove grows, a wrinkled, wizened, and bearded elf, spectacles stuck on his pointed nose, silver buckles to his hose, leather apron, shoe in his lap, rip-rap, tip-tap, rip-rap, tick-tack-too, a grasshopper on my cap, away the moth flew, buskins for a fairy prince, brogues for a son, pay me well, when the job is done. The rogue was mine, beyond a doubt. I stared at him, he stared at me, Can you imagine in that moment? They're just staring, sizing each other up. Servant, sir, humph, says he, and pulled us out a snuff box. He took a long pinch, looked better pleased. The queer little leprechaun offered the box with a whimsical grace. Grace. Poof! Poof! He flung the dust in my face, and while I sneezed, achoo, he was gone. So in a poof, the leprechaun was gone. He'd been working, tap tap, rip rap. He'd been working on his shoe. So I guess, that kind of goes along with that idea that you hide things in shoes. I remember that from somewhere. I probably should have looked that up before I got started with this, but I didn't. We should get back to that later. Anyway, I was reading about, different mythologies. I like mythology in general, but Irish myth is a little different. Celtic mythology. There's a lot to it, but in pretty much all legends, mythologies, there's usually some kind of good or evil or moral. With leprechauns, it's interesting because they're kind of in between the idea of good and evil, right? So between the good and evil beings of all mythologies, there's often those whose qualities are mixed, not wholly good, not entirely evil, but balanced between the two, and sometimes doing a generous action, then descending to a petty meanness, but never rising to nobility of character, nor sinking to the depths of depravity. And such a being is the leprechaun. So, of Ireland, it's a relic of the pagan mythology of that country, and by birth of the leprechaun is of slow descent, his father of a being of an evil spirit, is a mischief maker. Mischief. But we all know that, right? Because he's supposed to go around stealing things. The Puck of the Emerald Isle. He is of diminutive size and about 3 feet high, and is dressed in a little red jacket and a roundabout, with red breeches buckled at the knee, grey or black stockings, and a hat, cocked in the style of the century ago, over a little old withered face, round his neck, an Elizabethan ruff or frills. Of lace are at his wrists. On the wild west coast, where the Atlantic winds bring almost constant rains, he dispenses with ruff and frills and wears a frieze overcoat over his pretty red suit, so that unless on the lookout for the cocked hat, you might pass a leprechaun on the road and never know it is himself that's in it at all. I went into an Irish accent there. I don't know if it's any good. I don't know. Sometimes I do that. But anyway, this is just a little background on the leprechaun. They're very mischievous. They like to run around, hide pots of gold. It's okay. So, if there's anything else you'd like to know,